Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Big Brother Canada 9 Roundtable podcast. This is the podcast where we break down everything from the feeds and we give all these players ratings based on how well they're doing in this game. I'm your host, Taran Armstrong, and with me today is Melissa. How you doing, Melissa?
I'm doing well, Taran. Although I didn't know things were changing as we were, about to speak. So who knows? We're doing this on the fly at this point. We're just going to have to see what happens. I thought the week was set. I thought we were, solid on a Kiefer going home. And now I don't know anymore in classic roundtable fashion.
Yes, if I had paper in front of me, I would be ripping it up to show you what's happening to the ratings that I prepared for tonight. Also with us tonight is Aysha. How you doing, Aysha?
Hey, Taran. And before we get started, I need to really hype myself up to make sure that I can do this. Aysha, you got this. Aysha, you're going to make it through the podcast. You're going to do great. All right, let's go.
I have to say, Aysha, you're the best podcaster that there ever was.
Right?
I want to give a shout out to my parents for creating this absolute champion.
Yeah, Ro had it right.
Yeah, Ro lives on.
All right. Well, we are here to talk about everything that's been going on the live feeds since the last time we spoke, which was back when Victoria was still in the house. And oh, what a surprise. The trio was waffling back and forth about whether they were going to evict Victoria. Now we're here a week later and so much has changed, Aysha.
So much. I mean, we are in a situation where, they continue to waffle. They are consistent with their waffling. And, I never thought it'd be when we started the season, I never thought that I would ever be rooting against Ty and Jed. And I'm not rooting against them, but I'm rooting for entertainment. And so anybody at this point who can recognize that this trio is somebody to be reckoned with, I mean, they're almost out of time. They literally have maybe one more week before it's impossible to get out one of them. So, it sucks that, I feel like we're in the same place as we are last week in terms of the trios running things. They're in power. They have turned on somebody who is extremely loyal to them. But yeah, I mean, here we are.
Yeah. Melissa, how have you been feeling about the week so far?
I have been torn, and I feel like I've said that every single week this season, but I just feel like it's in my mind, I'm okay, this makes sense because Kiefer is a threat. I mean, he is. You can't deny it. He wins competitions. And he's pretty good. I mean, to be honest, and I know I say that all shocked, but I am still shocked because Kiefer coming into the house, I was there's no way this guy's a threat. And now I'm sitting here okay, this guy could win the game. He's in a good position. He's got allies on all sides. And I think people respect his game. So I also, I mean, besides the trio, really, I feel like they don't respect him in the game to help them, but whatever. Anyway, I think that Kiefer is a strong threat. It makes sense to me that they need to get him out. And yet I'm still a little torn on the decision just because Kiefer was so loyal to them. And I'm wondering and I know this is something that people always say in Big Brother, but is it too soon? Is it 1 week too soon? And usually the answer to that is no, it's never too soon. But that's why I'm a little off this week. I don't know whether I think logically, you know what, they're making the right choice, but maybe it's emotionally. I'm kind of but he's so loyal to you. You could keep him around for one more week rather than getting rid of someone who would want to go to the Final Four with you. So I don't know. And that's probably why they're waffling as well. That's probably why they're not just so set on their decision. But ultimately, I do think that I think at this point, and I think this has been their biggest mistake, the Sunsetters' essentially biggest mistake throughout the entire season is that once you make the move and once the person knows you're making that move, you have to go through with it. Because the second then you were well, no, maybe we should keep them. Okay, we already told our alliance member or whoever we were working with that we're going to go against them, but let's keep them. they're going to know that you're not loyal to them. They're not, if Kiefer stays this week, he is not going to be gung ho about the 4 alliance anymore. He's not going to do that. He's going to be like, yeah, no, you guys were about to kick me out. And it's like, by the grace of God that I'm still here. So no, I'm going to go with Tina and Tara or whoever, you know what I mean? Like he's going to go with other people. He's not going to go with them. Maybe he'll sit there and be like, oh, thank you for keeping me. But it's not going to, they're not going to have that loyalty that they had with Kiefer before. So I think that's where they falter is like, yeah, maybe they should have talked about this and decided for sure whether they wanted to do this move or not. And then just once you make the move, you got to do it. You have to follow through.
But that's my thing about this Kiefer move is that like, okay, I can see how it appears to be the right move, but I honestly think it is the wrong move because like, I think the more appropriate move would have been to go for Brayden because now you've created a scorned Kiefer, like someone who was so loyal, someone who is like, you know, Anthony would say loyal to the soil. Like he was not turning on them. He wanted to beat the best. Like that was his MO. And he was even telling Tina and Tara before the veto and everything, like, there's no way Jed would ever turn on me. And, you know, like he honestly believed that. So that's why it like hurt him so much to even know that he would make that move. So to go back now, it's like, you can't undo the damage that's been done. And I mean, I know we'll get into like what's been happening the last like hour and a half where, you know, Kiefer is in a different state of mind, but I don't think he's going to forget that. Like he may forgive, but he's not going to forget. And you're going to have this Kiefer who is like so passionate going into the jury house, like not on your side if things don't pan out that way, if he doesn't end up staying. So it's like, they obviously, yes, they should have thought it through. It was too much of like a snap decision. Like feeds came back and we already knew like, okay, Kiefer is being considered to go up. Like they have to make the move, but not once did Jed consider, okay, is Kiefer going to be hurt by this?
And I also think part of the issue is like, look, I'm all for house yes being open-minded throughout the week and being like, look, maybe we'll change our minds. Maybe you'll present to me an argument that I'll like go with. But I think once you turn on an ally like that and you let them know, you like inform them that you're going against them and they're going home, like that's kind of something you can't take a step back from. And I think that if they had couched this whole thing as like, look, well, we can't put up Brayden for whatever reason. And so we have to put you up, but you're not going home or whatever. And then behind closed doors, talk about it and be like, okay, look, what's best for our game? What are we going to do? Let's decide. Then I think you can be more open-minded and be like, okay, what's our plan? What's our best move forward? But I think once you've made the decision and once you've told Kiefer, like, yeah, you're going home, like that's it. You can't go back from that.
Yeah, so just to set this up for anyone that has not been able to be completely caught up here, obviously since the last time we spoke, we saw Vic leave. Pretty much nothing extraordinary going on in the feeds outside of the episodes here. Vic goes, Kiefer wins in the double, sends out Ro, Jed wins the following HOH, Tara calls everyone cowards, Jed nominates Tina and Tara. The plan becomes to backdoor Brayden. However, once Tara wins the veto, the plan changes to backdooring Kiefer. And then Kiefer ends up going on the block after an emotional conversation where it is revealed to him that he is going to be betrayed. However, in the last day and really in the last hour, Kiefer has pitched to Jed that he should stay in the game and that it's best for Jed's game if he does so. He said to Jed that, hey, I know you wanted to make a big move, but if you think about it, the bigger move at this point is that you put me up and didn't send me home. And you would think that's a terrible argument. It makes no sense, and it's definitely not true. However, Jed, after his talk with Kiefer, went to Beth and pitched for Kiefer to stay, saying, if you think about it, this is the big move, to keep Kiefer after I put him on the block.
No, it just makes you look like a player who can't make up his mind. Like it makes you look like a player who's easily influenced. I don't know. I just feel like it's like, if you're going to make a big move like that, like if you're going to put your close ally on the block because you know you can't beat him in the end or whatever your logic is at the time, like that's the move. And the big move about it is that you've made the decision, you've put your ally on the block, and that's that. What's done is done. But if then you start going like, well, maybe we should keep him, I don't know, like, and then you decide to keep him in the end, that just weakens the entire thing.
Yeah, they're blowing my mind. What were you about to say, Taran?
I'm imagining Ro and Vic in the jury house, right? They like, just imagine that it wasn't Tina that, like, let's say they keep Kiefer, and like, just imagine that they got to watch before Tina shows up, and they're watching and they see that Jed wins the HOH. They're like, man, he should take out Kiefer, but he's not going to. And then he puts up Tina and Tara, and they're like, what a weak move. And then Tara wins veto, and he puts Kiefer on the block, and like, oh my God, Jed just won this game. And then they vote Tina out. They'd be like,
oh,
what?
Okay. My thought would be that, like, or my instinct, I guess, would be like, oh, wow, Ty and Beth must have turned on Jed. Like, they must have been, you know, because it's like, Jed can't vote at that point. Like, it's like, okay, so it must have been that they thought that was a bad move and they turned on him. Oh, man. Because otherwise, it doesn't make any sense that Jed sanctions this move. Like, oh, okay, yeah, let's go against my original wishes and, like, keep Kiefer. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make sense, which it would be on par for this season. Like, if you think about it, this season has been full of things that do not make sense. Like Jed not using the veto on one of the Sunsetters that were on the block when Toya and Kiefer were on the block. Then you had Vic as the invisible HOH not taking out a huge target in one of the trio. And then even Ro not using the veto on Austin, one of your only allies that's left. Like, people continue, like, at the end of the season, it's gonna have to be like, who made the dumbest move of the season, because it's just back to back to back that, you know.
Now, is there any way they're doing this for the soundbite? Because, like, remember when, like, Nicole and Danny or whatever would have those conversations like last Big Brother season and be like, okay, wait, we have to get them their soundbite. What if we did keep so-and-so? I think that could be a good move. Like, like, just trying to get it so that the editors can make something.
Let me tell you, it was an awkward conversation between Jed and Beth when he pitched this, because she was not on board. She was pushing back, and he's like, you don't seem like you're on board. And she was like, to be honest, Kiefer leaving is great for my game. And she went into the fact that, like, you know, look, if you leave, I don't want to put myself in a position where I'm screwed. Like, obviously, I want to get to the end with you, but if that doesn't happen, I need to position myself in the right way. And she goes on to explain her entire strategy. And
eye roll.
Yeah. And it's genuinely an awkward thing. And Jed has to say to her again, like, hey, I am taking you to the end. I always have been. And she was like, well, you know, you back when you said that before, you thought you would definitely beat me. And he's like, no, even if I thought it was 50-50, I'm always taking you. I've always meant it. Believe me. I'm telling the truth. I do believe you. Why do you think I don't believe you? It's like these two get awkward. But by the end of the conversation, he's like, well, you know, can we consider it? And she was like, you know what? Honestly, I don't even know for sure that what I just said is true. I don't even know what's best for my game necessarily. So it is something I want to think about. Let's consider this option together. You know, and then they kissed, and he said that he loved her.
Who's believing this showmance? Like, for when I saw that he told her he loved her, like, they are not gonna last 5 days outside of this house. I'm like, I don't
said that
not
many
if his
times,
family
though.
has anything to do with it.
Right? Like, it does not make sense. Like, in the past, I've seen showmance, like, of course we've seen showmances over the years, but we see them genuinely taking an interest in each other, talking about things outside of the game. Like, they're very game focused. It's very trio focused, with, like, Ty coming in and out. So it's like, I'm very confused how this is going to be a real relationship.
You know, I think they'll be together for a bit after this. I think that Jed's gonna come out. His family's gonna be like, dump her. I don't know if you guys have seen, but that's kind of the message that they're sending at the moment. And he'll I don't know, you know, exactly how it'll go, but he'll probably be like, no, guys, I swear she's good. And then, you know, they'll give it a shot. But I don't know if I'd see it necessarily lasting, considering how much his family seems to hate her, and just how sort of like different they are.
Right.
We've seen it work before from Big Brother.
It's always possible.
I'm not putting it past anybody. At this point, I've seen so many Big Brother couples end up together like long term, and I've been shocked by it.
The thing that gets me is that he keeps saying he loves her, and she keeps smiling in reply.
That's like saying thank you. Like,
yeah.
No.
That's the thing for me.
I think they will go on like a little run, like a little 3-month typical Showmance run if they make it to the end together. I think if one of them cuts them early or they both end up in jury before the end of this, like they'll get to jury and realize, oh, this isn't what I want.
Yeah. Or it might be a situation, even if they cut each other, they're like, well, we want to prove that like we're good sports. So like, oh, he cut me, but it was all in game. And so I'm fine with that. And then like a month later, be like, okay, no, we're done now.
Right. Well, wait till he sees the beginning of the season when she said Ty was her first choice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there are a few things. I think a few things that Jed will have to. But honestly, the thing is, Jed does not strike me as the kind of guy that's going to take that much offense. Like it would hurt him, but I don't think he'd be like, he wouldn't be like, that's it, I can't date you anymore. He'd be like, hey, that hurts. Why would you do that? And she'd be like, I'm so sorry. And he'd be like, oh, it's okay. But then it would still bother him, but then it would be okay.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, look, Jed really likes her. And
he loves her. Correction.
He thinks he loves her. That's what he says. That's what he says.
Whoa. Just he loves her.
And I believe him, and I think that he will. I think that he will pursue it after the show ends.
It's true love, Taran.
And I think she really likes him too. And you know what? I wish them the best. I hope it works out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wish them all the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just sounds super sincere. I wish them all the best.
Yeah,
definitely.
So I will say I felt like this was a great move for Jed to put Kiefer up. I felt like he would get massive credit in the jury because of it. And without Kiefer there, it really felt like things are starting to look up for Jed. Yes, he has to get through next week, and that might be tricky because if Tina, Tara, or I don't know, Brayden win, then he might be in some danger, but he is guaranteed a shot at the veto. And he not only has one shot in the veto, but basically 2 shots at the veto, right? So Jed has 2 people playing in the HOH. 2 out of 5 people will be playing in the HOH. If either of them win, he's lock safe. Then he has 2 people out of 5 competing in the veto, where if either of them win, he's lock safe. That's himself or the third of the trio that's not on the block because they can win, use it, and then control the votes. So he actually has a really good shot at surviving next week, even in the worst case scenario. And that's that Brayden actually does turn on them, which might not even happen for all we know. And the way things are looking, the way that Kiefer is talking, it's really sounding like Jed is the front runner with the jury, or at least will be when Kiefer gets there. It's reminding me a lot of, or it was at least, reminding me a lot of Danny leaving in 7th place in Big Brother 22. Danny, the first person to be able to go to jury with the information about the committee. Kiefer is going to be the first person to come to the jury with real information about the Sunsetters. And Kiefer's explanation is going to be the only information they have for a while about what this actually is and who's actually doing what in the alliance. And from Kiefer's point of view, Ty has done nothing. He's not a very loyal player, and that he needs to betray them if he wants any chance of winning. And Jed is the guy that's going to win this game if nobody cuts him. And that's the message he's going to be carrying to the jury. They're going to be hearing it. They're going to be hearing that this is Kiefer's perspective, the person that they respected most coming out of the house with information they didn't have. It's going to be pretty compelling stuff, especially when he's also saying, yeah, Tara's in there saying if Jed makes it to the end, he's going to win this game. They keep not evicting him. It's really starting to look like Jed is a front runner in this game. And so I came into this podcast saying to myself, like, man, Jed is our front runner. I'm going to give him a high rating. But he wants to keep Kiefer after he put him on the block. And to you guys' point, what you guys said earlier, which is that if you put Kiefer on the block and then don't send him home, I fully believe Kiefer does not intend to go back on his word right now. I fully believe that he is being 100% honest when he tells them, I will go to the 4 with you. I will not go after you. I promise. I will stick true to the Sunsetters. That's always been my goal. I think he believes that right now. If he wins HOH next week, he's going to think. He's going to think. He's going to think about what happens if I take out Brayden. I can't compete in the Final 5 HOH. If I can't compete in the Final 5 HOH, then the trio is going to be competing against Tara in the Final 5 HOH. And if any of them win, it's me on the block next to Tara, 1,000%. If they were willing to take me out at 7, guaranteed they're willing to take me out at 5, right. Which means that if he wins HOH next week and he doesn't take a shot at the trio, he's basically guaranteeing himself being sent home at the Final 5. I have to imagine he's going to consider that and change his mind, even though I do believe that right now he plans on staying true to his word.
And to that point, they were ready to take him out when Toya went home. So they've been ready to take him out this entire game, but he continues to be loyal because he's a loyal guy, but he's not taking a step back and realizing, okay, are they showing me that same loyalty? And they are not. Time and time again, but he doesn't care. He's just like, I'm loyal. Sunsetter's the best alliance ever. We are in this. Like it doesn't make sense to me at all. Like he was going on today about, oh, I'm gonna take Jed to the final 2 and I'm gonna beat him. I mean, if that makes you feel good to say, Kiefer, go ahead. But if you're making it to the final 2 with Jed, you know, even though I hear what Vic and Ro are saying, it's just like, I don't know if Beth and Ty are in there as well. And then, Tara and Tina, who may feel like Kiefer turned on the pre-90s alliance. Like it just, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. But to your point earlier about him going to jury and like having this, like this plea, I guess, for that Jed is doing such a great job. Will the people that are currently in the jury think, anything about Beth's influence on Jed's HOH?
Well, that's what Beth had been trying to do. Before I get into that, I am seeing an update right now. Ty got together with Jed and Beth. Ty said he is down to keep Kiefer. He is down to go to the Final 4 with Kiefer. Jed agrees. They said that they would not mind if they ended up losing to him. Beth says that she will tell Brayden that they just ended up deciding to split up a duo.
Just call me the Grim Kiefer because I am ripping these duos apart.
Ty says, I think we keep him. Jed agrees. They have decided right now to keep Kiefer in the game.
Oh, boy.
Speechless.
Yeah, I know. It's like, I don't even know. I mean, first of all, this changes the ratings like a lot for me, at least. Cause like, I just feel like this is not the right move. I feel like at the beginning of the week, deciding whether or not to put Kiefer, like to backdoor Kiefer, okay, yeah, that's the question. We don't know. That's a good time to think about it. Now it's like, okay, the decision's been made. Don't go back on it or else, I don't know.
I would so support this if this was before.
Yes.
If this was before the veto ceremony.
The last person they should be getting out right now. You should be getting out Brayden or Kiefer. They're the only people competing against you in these competitions.
Kiefer is good at these competitions. Like, I just feel like they've betrayed him, like basically, essentially twice now. I mean, yeah, the first time could be justified because it was like, well, they had to vote out 2 people in their alliance, whatever. But this time, like, this was out of nowhere and they decided to go for it. And I don't know. I mean, I guess, look, and here's the other thing, like, it is totally possible that Kiefer is just going to be like, yes, I'm going to stay totally loyal to them and I'm going to take them to Final 4, like, done deal. And that might be absolutely true. And maybe this isn't a mistake to go back on it, but like the correct move on Kiefer's part would be like, oh, these people don't have any loyalty to me. I need to figure out my own plan to get to the end. I don't need to worry about getting the 4 of us to the end. Like, that's dead.
Well, and that's the thing for me. Even if he does stay true and they go to the Final 4, that is their least viable Final Four. That is the worst case Final Four for them, to have Kiefer. Of all the players left in the game, the last person I would want in the Final Four with me is Kiefer. He is the most likely to just beast out a couple of those end game comps that are about questions that he has done very well on.
By the way, so I listened to your exit interviews, and you had them rank the people, but I don't remember what the answer was at this point. What were their ratings?
So both Vic and Ro were very adamant about Kiefer being their number one pick. He is playing the best game in the house, and if he hits the block and survives, he's going to win this game. Skyrocket. If he touches that Final Two, he is winning this game 100%.
Absolutely.
He is not a person you want in the Final Four.
No. Oh my God. So they were both ranked Kiefer first. Where did they rank Brayden? Is another thing I was wondering.
So they had similar ratings basically, where they both put Kiefer first. Ro said he would maybe put Brayden second, but it seemed like it was kind of, and again, you have to take these with a grain of salt.
Right. It always changes.
Because it completely changed in BB Can 6. It was relatively true to form in Big Brother Canada 7 though. But you kind of have to read between the lines if you can. They had so many good things to say about Kiefer's game. It wasn't like we'd have to give it to Kiefer. It was like, oh no, Kiefer's doing really well. And like any question I asked them, they brought it back around to Kiefer. So I'm confident that they feel good about Kiefer right now. Second place to me felt like Ro was saying, I would love to give it to Brayden because he was my ally and I think he's a great social player. Like he would be looking for reasons to give it to Brayden. If neither Kiefer or Brayden were there, he would have to default to give it to the trio right now, just because he couldn't give it to Tina or Tara over them unless they do something. That's what Vic said as well, that unless Tina or Tara do something in the game, then she would have to give her vote to the trio. They both tentatively, but without much confidence, said maybe tie first. Ro said Beth second, Jed third. Vic said Jed second, Beth third, but neither of them said it, again, with much conviction. And I think that with the new information Kiefer would have brought to the jury, that could have changed. I don't know now what's going to happen. I imagine that Tina, if she goes to the jury, she would also go to the jury with Sunsetter information. And I think that she would probably end up saying similar things since she talks with Kiefer about this a lot. So I'm still inclined to believe that the perspective of Jed would still be the same, but I don't know what this decision is going to do to Jed's, image in the game. I don't know what it's going to do to any of their images in the game. It's still too early to tell at this point.
Yeah, because I was also wondering, like, if Beth keeping Kiefer is the right decision for her, because
I wanted to go back.
Yeah.
So earlier today, Kiefer was talking with Beth, and Beth told Kiefer, I think the guys are making a mistake evicting you. I think that Jed is making a mistake. I think that Ty is making a mistake because I think that they're just caught up in wanting to make a big move, but this is actually better for my game, and it's not better for their game. Kiefer said that to Tina and Tara, who were like, ooh, look at Beth. And they started talking about Beth and Jed as perhaps the John and Netta of the season, and that the only way for one or the other to win is to cut each other. And that to me says that Beth does have a little bit more win equity right now. But if the decision changes to keep Kiefer, then they'll go from, ooh, Beth to, oh, Beth.
Oh, Beth just went with what they wanted. Yeah. I totally agree with that, because I was wondering, like, if the best path forward for Beth would be get out Kiefer, and then whoever is like, try and just get more in with like Brayden, or like, at first I thought, well, I honestly was thinking Brayden, but that's why I was wondering what they were the jury members were thinking of with Brayden's like win equity, because it's like, at this point, I don't see Brayden winning, but I don't know how the jury feels. And so like, I was thinking it could be a really smart move for Beth to try and like make inroads with Brayden, so that way she has like a parachute, or maybe, Tina or Tara, so she has a parachute. Because I don't think that her going to the end with Ty or Jed is good for her. And so I think that if she can get rid of Kiefer, who would want to go to the end with like Ty or Jed, then that's really good for her. And I think it opens her up to a win, because I think she needs to be in the end with someone who's not in the trio. I mean, it's possible that she could win against Ty, but like, I feel like, why take the risk? I don't know. I think her best move would be to go to the end with, like, I was thinking Brayden. Now I'm not so sure, but either Brayden or like obviously Tara or like Tina, honestly. Like if she could get inroads with them, like she should do it. And I don't really know if I see her doing that so much.
Look, I don't want to be fooled by these people again. I am going to take this with the biggest grain of salt and believe that it's going to change probably 3 more times from this point. And we're going to be thinking, Wednesday night, like, oh, okay, good. Okay. They're sending Kiefer home. And then Thursday morning, oh, no, they're keeping Kiefer. And then the feeds are going to go down before they decide again to send Kiefer home. There's no way that Beth is going to stand for this, knowing this is not good for her game, knowing that there's no way for her to get, I mean, it would be a very tough road for her to get to final 2, knowing that she wants Tina there so bad. Like, why would she let Tina go out on her boyfriend's HOH? Well, like, I don't think she's going to stand for it.
So Beth's plans have shifted. First of all, she is more on Team Tara than Team Tina now because of Tara's talks with Beth, right? And that was part of her conversation with Jed just earlier was, hey, Tara has told me that she knows that I'm the only chance of her getting to the final 2. And she knows that Tina is not going to take her. And Jed was like, no, Tara's never going to say Tina's name. She was like, I don't know. I've had some good talks with Tara. And he was like, she says that to everyone, Beth. She has conversations with me all the time. And she was like, but why would she tell us things and not expect us to, you know what? She does say, don't let this leave this room, Beth. I don't know. And so now she's starting to doubt Tara, but she had just last night decided, I want Tina out before Tara. I want Tara to be the person I'm bringing down. However, Tara's still only making final 4. She wanted to go to the final 3 with Jed and Ty. That was the plan, and it still is the plan. And I do believe her when she says that to Jed. She said it to the cameras as well. She also feels like she might love Jed, and so she does not want to cut him. But at this point, it feels like the most viable way for Beth to win is if Jed wins the final 3 HOH and takes her, and she can somehow be like, you should have cut me for Ty. That would have been the easier win. But it's not even that clear cut at this point. It's such a strange situation. There's too much moving right now to know how it's going to impact jury stuff. I just know that she keeps coming close to feeling like people can look at her and respect her agency in the game, and then it just kind of slips through her fingers.
It sucks though, because like she knows that she's like, either the jury doesn't have a good understanding of her game, or the show's not showing what she's doing, which doesn't matter because the jury's not seeing the show. But she knows that outwardly these guys have played a better game than her. Ty socially, and Jed has been winning competitions and just overall better perspective with the other house guests that he's playing a better game. I don't care if I am in final 3 with my mom and I knew my mom played the best game and I knew cutting her would get me the win to go beside a Victoria, like a BB16 Victoria, then I'm going to do it because I know because we love each other. I know she's going to respect that move. So if Beth's decision about loving Jed and him loving her, it'll be enough to respect the decision, because if you truly love each other, you're going to live on from that.
Yeah, honestly. And I don't abide by the idea that you gotta bring the best and then beat the best in order to be the best. I would not. No, you just have to bring the weakest so that way you can win. You need that guaranteed win. I don't care if I beat the best I already beat them. And that's the thing is it's not like you're not beating them. It's just that you're getting them out earlier than final 2. If you are beating the best, you're just getting them out early. You're not giving them a chance.
Yeah.
It's same.
Now I do want to say that I do think that Beth has played a very active game, and in some ways a better game than at least Jed to some degree.
Yeah.
And I do feel like there is probably some unfairness in the fact that she is the one that we have to put so much emphasis on, like, you need to play your own game. Where when Jed is able to sit there and be like, oh, I'd take you even if you beat me. Like, Jed is a much less self-interested player than Beth. We give Beth more crap for it, partly probably because she talks about it more, but also partly because I think there is an expectation on the woman to sort of betray the man in these shows. I feel like that exists. And that's probably because the man tends to be the default person that gets the respect from the fans and the players in the game. But it certainly exists with Jed, and it also exists with Ty at the moment. I think because I think Ty. Just from his conversation with Kiefer, he recognizes that he can't beat either of them, but he's still planning on going to the final three with them. I don't know what his game plan is either. I need Ty to also start thinking about what he's going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when is he going to be in a position to do something about it, though, until he wins something? Besides that veto he won.
Yeah.
You always forget about the veto. The double eviction veto is the worst veto to win because it's like blink and you miss it.
Yeah, unless you're winning it for yourself. Like, you were going to go home and then you win it. Honestly, like, that double eviction was, like, very lame to me. Like, I'm sorry.
I agree.
I just have to say it. Like, I'm literally sitting there like, I can't wait for this double eviction. I love double evictions. They're always so exciting. And then I literally just like was like, oh, that was it. Womp womp. It was just like, it just ended. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, Victoria leaves, Ro leaves, just as we suspected. There was like literally no suspense. Like, honestly, I think that Kiefer should not have won that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that was a mistake.
He
I
knows
feel like,
it too.
Yeah, because also, like, first of all, like, he should have made it so that someone from the trio couldn't win the next HOH, because I don't think he was in danger of going home. I mean, he still had Ro, their big target, and then he did their dirty work for them. So yeah. I just feel like he made a big mistake. And so when I saw that Kiefer won, I was like, oh God, this is not good for him or for most of any of us. And then Ro leaves. Like, he doesn't win the veto. Like, I thought, like, well, at least Ro's like the veto king. He'll at least win it.
4 in a row.
He didn't win it. And then it was like, oh, well, I guess Ro's walking out the door and then the episode ends. Oh, okay, cool. So, like, that was really, like, it just was a total, like, snooze fest. I don't know. I was not thrilled with that, I have to say.
Yeah. So this is where we are. They, at this moment, have decided to keep Kiefer. I think there are a few things that could change this. First of all, Tina, when she turns it on, has proven herself to be a pretty effective player in the game at getting what she wants. She's really been sitting back this week. I've been pretty critical of it so far. She's been so laid back that Tara has been able to surpass her in a few situations, like with Beth. But if she gets wind that she could go home because Kiefer has been campaigning, she could turn it on and really start to make a case that could, let's be real, anything could convince Jed and the trio to change their minds. They could literally a light breeze could get them to change their mind. So we could absolutely see Tina end up, making this a two-way contest here. Additionally, just last night, Kiefer told Brayden everything about the Sunsetters except for Tina's involvement, and that means that Brayden has a ton of dirt to dump on Kiefer if he is informed that the plan is to keep Kiefer, if he doesn't want Kiefer to stay, although, depending on where he thinks Kiefer is at, we don't know what he would want exactly.
Yeah, do we even know? Like, do we even know, like, what Brayden would want at this point?
I really
crazy.
don't.
It's crazy.
But if Brayden says just how much Kiefer told him about the Sunsetters, that could impact their idea of how loyal Kiefer might be. I imagine Kiefer's response would just be, yeah, I was mad at you. I'm sorry, but look, I'm back. Which is what he's already said, but he didn't say that he did that, right? But they might be like, well, this is typical Kiefer. You just like he didn't tell us about the invisible HOH. So that could change
which
things.
also bad move on Kiefer's part to tell them.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. It's so reminiscent of Victoria when she's like, oh yeah, I was trying to get dirt on you guys and like playing both sides, but then I didn't. They're like, well, why didn't you tell us the information? It's like same with Kiefer. It's like, oh well, I was just trying to make it so that you guys like she wouldn't try and get you guys out. And it's like, well, then why wouldn't you tell us that she was the invisible HOH? Like, why were you playing it like you didn't know? It just, none of it makes sense. And if you're going to play it that way, like, just then don't say anything. Don't reveal that you did that. It's
same with Vic, her first HOH, when right after she, like, Jed didn't use veto, she was like, oh yeah, I was never going to put Ty out.
Right.
It's like, why
don't say that.
Why are y'all revealing this stuff?
It doesn't make any sense. It's like, this stuff is like, and when he's just like, oh, I'm just glad I got it off my chest. It's like, okay, yeah, but you could have waited maybe till like after the end of the season. Like, it's just, it's not that long. Like, you can keep it on your chest for a little bit longer.
Right.
Yeah. So that's where we are. And I'm honestly like, I'm so lost on these ratings right now because it's like,
I know, I have no idea. I'm
still
tempted to just be like 5s across the board. I don't know.
Not even that high.
Just like throw up your papers or just like roll a dice and just see like what you get. I don't know.
We can talk about the state of the house. But that's also different now. You have the triangle, Jed, Ty, Beth, who I wasn't even going to write the Sunsetters because I thought it was dead, but they also are part of the Sunsetters with
They're
Kiefer.
still clinging to life.
You've got
they keep bringing it back to life.
Yeah, they really do.
From the ashes. You've got TNT, Tina and Tara. You've got Braden basically just out on his own. I mean, he has connections, but they don't mean anything. And that's the state of the house. The targets are I also don't know. I know that TNT, if they stay, they will target the trio. Jed and Ty would probably target Tara or Braden. Honestly, either way. Whether Kiefer or Tina leaves, I don't think they would target the remainder. I think they would target either Tara or Braden, but they'd also change their mind a few times in the process, so it doesn't really matter. Beth would probably want to target Tina or, I don't know, maybe Kiefer or Braden. I don't know. She would also probably change her mind 1,000 times. Braden, I have no idea. So great job, guys. We've totally figured out the house, right?
Right. It's so hard. It's so complex.
Yeah. Oh boy.
I would say complex. I would be able to figure out. This is just a mess. It's just like I walked in and it's just a house. It's like a hoarder's house. It's just like there's stuff everywhere. And because they keep every single thought that enters their brain and they don't get rid of it. They're hoarding all of their ideas and they're all up there. And at any point they could just be like, which idea am I having for breakfast? This table. Arr.
Oh my God. Oh my God. To be honest, like I will say, like at least the good news for me, at least, is that I like everyone in the house. So I feel like it's a lot easier for me to kind of just like watch this mess happen and just be like, oh goodness, I don't even know. But like if I didn't like some of the people in the house, I'd be like, I'm so frustrated. Get these people out of here. And I mean, you haven't heard an I'm so frustrated from me this entire season. It's
very true.
And it's because I genuinely like the people that are in the house. So like, I don't have any reason to be super frustrated, I guess. Like, and I also feel like I've kind of given up on the idea that any of them are going to be like amazing players. So I feel like that's also part of the reason why I get frustrated is when people make bad moves. But I feel like at this point I was kind of like, yeah, I guess, they're just going to do what they're going to do. And we're just going to see how it pans out. And that's just the way it's going to go. And I'm not even going to get like flustered about the fact that they're making bad moves. Like, that's just it. And we're just going to watch it.
That's just it.
And I know last time y'all were talking about how, you know, it's interesting watching how Taran usually watches the seasons, like kind of like unbiased and just like enjoying whoever's in power and just taking the gameplay for what it is. And yeah, I'm definitely I found myself doing that this season because the only person that I guess I was just gun-ho for, like, loved was LaToya. So once she left, I was able to sit back and just be unbiased and like, whoever's in power, let's see what's happening this week. And you know, it's kind of been enjoyable. I'm not gonna lie. I might try to do that in the future. I don't know.
I think it's best for long-term enjoy. I feel like you get burned out when you're too invested.
Oh,
Yeah,
I get so burned out. You see on me on the roundtables when I'm just like, I hate everybody. Like, yeah, I get so worked up. It just exhausts me. This is a lot easier, I will say.
Yes. And
A lot less emotional.
yeah,
Right.
like my frustration with their messiness is like fun frustration,
Yeah.
right? Like it's
Yeah.
like what is this mess and how am I how am I gonna sort it?
Yeah. And look,
Yeah.
here's the thing is like, as much as we're like jokingly complaining about like our like ratings like that, like I do feel like it is nice to like not have such a stable house sometimes. Like, I feel like, I feel like we knew like for last season of Big Brother, like it was like we knew every single week what was going to happen. And once the week was decided, the week was decided. And that was it, because the alliance wasn't turning on each other. It was just one big alliance. And they were just marching down to the end, and it's just doing whatever Cody wanted. And it was like, okay, like this is really boring. Like, what's to talk about? It's just like, oh, well, this move could be made, but it's not going to be made. So that's that. And now I feel like at least like we have things to talk about or think about or, you know, be shocked by. And I feel like, you know, at the start of this week, I was like, oh, okay, like this is a fairly, I'm not at the start of the week, I guess. It was like once it was decided that Kiefer was going home, I was like, oh, well, that's that. He's going home. The end. We don't need to talk about it anymore. That's it. And now look at us. Like we still have things to talk about because like we don't know. And it's nice to like not totally know at the start of the week when someone wins HOH what's going to happen.
Yeah, can I just take you for a short ride, a short tour of the week? There's an alliance of 3 people in a house of 7 people. The alliance of 3 people won the HOH. There's 4 other people to potentially target. The target this week went from Tara to Brayden to Kiefer to Tina. Literally all 4 of the other people
everybody else
have been the target at one point or another this week so far, and the week is not over yet.
See, it's interesting.
You can only have 2 nominees, and they've somehow targeted all 4 people.
It keeps us on our toes. You can't be bored by it. I will give them that.
Yeah, by any means.
All right. Well, let's move on to the stock watch, and we'll rate these players. We're gonna give them a rating 1 through 10. Based on how well they're doing this week, what it's looking like in their game, how likely they are to win. I also polled the audience and asked for their input, which, you know, is based on information that is outdated at this point, but who knows?
Sorry, audience.
Yeah.
Right.
But let's go for it. Let's see what we can do here with the stock watch ratings. I still barely even know what I'm gonna do here.
I know. I don't even know. I was like, well, at least let me see what I did last week, but I don't even know if that's gonna help me.
I literally, my first bullet point for Beth is Kiefer leaving is a big result for Beth.
It's like, oh wait.
Well,
cross that off.
Yeah, it's bizarre because any number I had in mind this entire day is just completely out of the window, and I'm sitting here just racking my brain like, what do I even do?
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe what do the audience do for Beth?
The problem is that the audience is going off of the fact that Kiefer's leaving. So I can't even go to the audience and be like, well, what's the baseline here?
Audience is like 9. 9 for Beth. Yeah, I don't know. Oh God, this is hard because I do think, especially for Beth, so great that we're starting off with Beth, but I think like especially for Beth, the result of this week matters. Yeah. Like, I do think that if Kiefer goes home, she's in a much better place than she would be if Kiefer stays. And I think that like, that affects my rating. Like, I honestly, like, that really affects it because I think that Beth, that this would be big for Beth. I mean, I think out of the trio, I think Beth benefits the most from Kiefer going home. I don't know if she's hurt the most by Kiefer staying though. Like, I just feel like yeah, it's not as good of a result if Kiefer stays. However, I think if I'm Kiefer, I'd be most upset with Jed, and that would make the move worse if keeping Kiefer for Jed. I don't know if you guys agree with me. I mean, to me, like if I'm Kiefer, I would be upset with Jed because I'd be like, I wanted to take Jed, and now Jed is the one who betrayed me. He is the one who had the power.
I think the thing here is the vibe that I'm getting from Kiefer, and it's the story that Beth has been telling, is that Beth is probably kind of the reason Kiefer went up, and Kiefer talked to Jed and then Ty about trying to keep him in the game, and then he told them that they would need to convince Beth. He does not feel like Beth is the one that is going to keep him. He feels like Beth is the one that tried to get him out, and that Beth will then have failed, which I think will reach the jury that Beth tried it and didn't work.
So it's especially bad for Beth.
I think so, but it's hard to know because we don't even know that the move is going to even go through, let alone what the impact is going to be. So it's like...
Right, because
like normally,
also like this is so new too. Like
exactly.
It happened like 30 minutes before we started podcasting, so it's not even like, well, it's been a full day and it's still kind of lingering. Like we think it's gonna stick. It could just be like right after this podcast is over, Kiefer's going home again.
Yeah, and even if he does stay, like normally we have a few days for things to sort of like settle in and see what is the result of this. We can predict what the result might be, but you never know for sure. Like, you know, for all we know, they're going to be like, oh, what a great move, Beth, for keeping Kiefer, which I really doubt will happen. But we have no idea what the remotest reaction will be from this. So we can only guess. But my guess is that this will hurt Beth, especially because she has been touting this as her move. And so if it fails, if it goes through, then or if it falls through, then I think that's really going to hurt. Because Kiefer staying is, by her own words, better for the boys than her.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's unfortunate too, because like I would be feeling really strongly about Beth right now if the move was gonna go through. Like if Kiefer was gonna go home, I would be like playing up like, okay, yeah, I do think Beth is, you know, has a much better chance of winning now. But if Keith stays, I think she has a worse chance. So I feel like I'm stuck in the middle, and this might hurt Beth's like stock watch. But I mean, I feel like I don't know. It really depends on if Kiefer is going to stay or not. And I know that like, and I also know that like a lot of weeks we don't know who's going home, but like, I feel like this one especially affects the ratings just because like it's somebody from their alliance that they are betraying. Like it's not just like, oh, well, is it going to be, you know, Austin or Braden? It's like, no, this is somebody that they're betraying here. Yeah. This is like a failed back door.
Yeah. So talking it through, let me say I was going to give her a 6 because I felt like this was a big thing for her. I did give her a 6 last week, but I was also, last week she was talking about not going to the end with the guys. This week she is talking about going to the end with the guys. And so that was going to sort of temper the potential rise that she was going to get from me. But the combination of her wanting to go with the guys and potentially keeping Kiefer and everything else that we talked about, I think I have to. And this is unfortunate because it really could be an hour from now they decide they're not going to go through with it and everything goes back to normal and she really should have received a 6. But right now, when I'm not sure which way it's going to go, I think I have to side on or err on the side of caution and say I'm going to go with a 5.
I was going to say the same thing because I gave her a 6 last week and I wanted to give her a 6 again this week because I do think she's in a decent position. I think that like if Kiefer goes, she's in an even better position. But yeah, no, I think I really honestly, I'm about to be like 5s across the board, but yeah, 5.
So for me, I would be higher on Beth because like, even with this Kiefer decision, because this hasn't, you know, what's happened in, you know, the last hour, that wasn't her decision. That was Jed coming to her. And of course, you know, we'll get more updated on what is going to happen and what they're really thinking, what she's thinking outside of, you know, Jed just thinking this is a great idea. But the fact that she wants to go to the final 3 with these two guys
Yeah.
is what's killing me and
Right.
is the reason I have to give her a 4. If she had maintained everything she was saying in the past couple of weeks, knowing that, you know, if I go to the end with them, that I don't stand a chance, you know, knowing that they could end up taking each other. Like, you know, she doesn't have a ring on her finger. There's no guarantee that Jed is taking her to final 2. So it's like, you know, like, why on earth would you ever go to the final 3 with 2 people that are that tight? So yeah, I have to give her a 4.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, and you know, it could very well be right. I think like really the thing here is reading into how much do we think this will impact not only her path to the end, but also her potential jury performance. And it gets harder and harder to see her taking a win over at the very least over Jed. But I don't see how she gets there with Ty unless she's willing to cut Jed, which she's not, or unless Ty is willing to cut Jed, which I don't think he is. So her versus Jed, I just don't see her taking that win at this time. And that's whether Kiefer left, which made Jed look good and her look good, or if Kiefer stays, which makes her look bad and Jed look bad. So I don't know that she's making enough of a difference either way. The audience, and this is kind of a first, especially for a player like Beth, going off of information that is not that Kiefer might leave, actually gave Beth a 6. So the highest on Beth. This might be the first time ever that the audience has given a like one of the most hated players in the game. And you know what? I'll spoil the favorite list here. Never mind, she's not at the bottom. She's close though. She's close.
I don't know why people don't like her. Like, to be honest, I like her, and I feel like I like the fact that she like talks to the cameras and like tells us what's going on through her head, and I think she's playing a good game, and I don't know. I mean, I obviously I don't like the fact that she's now saying she's going to go to the end with the trio, but like, I like her. I don't get it. What is it? Explain to me why people don't like her. I haven't seen anything yet that makes me not like her, so I don't get it.
Like for me, it's like, okay, take Ty and Jed out of the equation, then maybe I would be higher on Beth just as a person, but then it's like I'm toying with her as a person and her as a Big Brother player. I think she's doing a good job as a Big Brother player, but then just the situation she has going on with Ty and Jed, and then just some of the comments that she's made, it's just been kind of icky. And so I've just had that view of like, you know, it's kind of like an experiment for her to be with these 2 guys. And, you know, now she's settled on Jed, so it's more solid there. But I don't know. It's weird. So I know what you were saying, Taran, about like how people are harder on the woman in the showmance. But for me, I feel the same way about Jed. I think Jed needs to cut Beth. I think that it's dumb for him to want to go to the end with her. I think that he needs to be thinking solely about his game and not just on, oh, she's my showmance, I should go to the end, or even Ty's my boy, we should go to the end. I think he should just be thinking of how can I win against the person that's easier to win against, like you said, Melissa. So for me, I think that's mainly what it is. I think this showman situation is has kind of pushed me away from liking Beth as much, but yeah, that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the Big Brother fan base will always dislike some of the players to almost the same degree, no matter the severity of their crimes. So, you know, there's always going to be the worst person in the house or the worst people in the house.
Right.
And they will receive similar levels of distaste and dislike as people who may deserve it even more from other seasons, right? Because in comparison, they are the worst and people are used to hating the worst. So I think that, you know, that one of those people, I think this season is Beth. She has made, you know, the things that she has said about Ty and Jed in comparing them, and some of the ignorant comments that she's made. Yes, exactly. There are definitely reasons to be like, this is like not what I would want to hear from Beth. But like certainly if we compare her to much worse, she's not much worse, right? Yeah. She is just somebody, I think, that compounding with that, because there's a difference, right? Tara also has done some not great things, some microaggressions, especially earlier in the season. But Tara right now is sort of a feisty underdog. And so it's kind of just like, we're enjoying it though. Whereas Beth is the villain of the season right now. The person who
I literally don't see that. It's so crazy to me. Like, I do not see her as a villain literally at all. Like, the one of the things I did see that I didn't quite like was when she was like, oh yeah, I just like, I couldn't work with Austin. Like, I came into this not wanting to work with girls, which like I hate, but like, so I don't love that, but like nothing that I've seen that she's done has made me like hate her. And I also feel like a lot of the stuff that like I've been hearing that people don't like about her are things that to me are like making a good game player. Or like game related things. Like, to me, like, that people are like, oh, well, she's really fake. And it's like, well, yeah, you're playing Big Brother. Like, so when she says stuff like to Brayden, like, oh, we're like best friends, blah, blah, blah. And then the second Brayden leaves, she's like, oh, I hate floaters or whatever. Like, that whole thing, like, that to me is like, that's just playing the game. Like, I don't see anything wrong with that. And I don't know if that's the reason. I'm just saying, like, there are people who are like, and maybe that's just one of those things where they don't like her. And then everything she does is like annoying to them. Yes. And so it's like, that's maybe just like one little thing that if they liked her, they'd be like, yeah, go Beth. Like, you're playing him, blah, blah, blah. But like, so to me, like, I guess like I'm viewing it, and I do know that like, I'm not going to like fully relate it to this, but like, I don't know, with like Kayla in Big Brother, what was it? Big Brother 6?
Canada 6.
Yeah. Big Brother Canada 6. Like I loved Kayla, and I knew there were like a lot of people that did not like Kayla. And I knew like a lot of people liked Kayla too, but like Kayla like was not like, probably not the easiest person to get along with, but like I viewed a lot of it as game related, and I didn't view a lot of it as like personal. And I feel like that's how I'm kind of viewing Beth, but maybe it's possibly like a rose-colored glasses thing where I'm like thinking that everything she's doing is game related, and really like it's not at all. And I don't know, but I just, to me, like, I'm always shocked when I hear that, oh, people hate Beth, or like, oh, I hate Beth. I'm like, wait, but how could you like hate her? Like, I could understand like not like loving her, or like not even liking her, but like hating her, I feel like that's like too far from me. I don't even have strong opinions about literally anyone Melissa, in the cast.
What community do you think you're in right now?
I don't know. And I think it's possibly because like normally like I can understand why, because like a lot of the people, like some of the people on the cast like do deserve to be like hated, no offense to them, but if they're being like racist or like a bully or whatever, like obviously like that is a very different scenario. But I do feel like this cast, maybe it's because like this cast I'm looking at with rose-colored glasses, because I'm like, there's nothing to hate about this cast. It's one of the least problematic casts we've had. And so I'm like happy about it. And I'm just sitting there like smiling and like going along for the ride. And everyone else is like, no, but we hate Beth, or no, but we hate Tara. And like, I'm just so used to like other reasons why we hate people versus like, oh, they're fake, that like, it's kind of throwing my like, perception out of whack.
I see a large majority of people like on Twitter normally are just not a fan of her. Like Taran, you were saying, it's like of the people in the house, this is the person I like the least. But for Beth, it's been like the comments that she's made outside of the game, such as like comparing Ty and Jed's sizes, saying that Jed's hair feels like hair that it's other parts of your body, doing things like, saying, oh, I've never been with a black guy and now I have two. So it's like these little comments she's made like since the beginning of the game. It's just like, ugh. So that I saw some of the people in the chat saying like, what were the icky comments? Those.
Well, yeah. Yeah. And I think that's part of my issue is like, I'm like, what are the problematic comments? Because like, I try and stay away from like a lot of like the Twitter controversies and things like that. And so I try like not, especially when it's like not game related, when it's like I don't know, like when it's like number one, like the family issues or like things like showmance stuff or like the comparing sizes thing. I was like, I'm staying away from this one. I don't want to have anything to do with this. So like, I didn't like fully look into that. And that's why like, I do want to know like what has been said. And like, I'm glad you've like said it. Cause like that stuff is not good, obviously.
Yeah.
And so like, that would bother me for sure. I mean, I think like, obviously like, well, I don't know. I just think that like,
I mean,
the stuff that I see when it's talking about game related stuff that Beth does that makes like that stuff. I'm like, I don't get why you hate it, but it makes sense. Like if someone's hating someone for something else and then it like kind of just like floats into the rest of it, that makes sense.
Well, I think the confusing part probably for you and maybe for a lot of people is that at the end of the day, there is a whole plethora of people who dislike Beth. And some of them dislike her for the comments she's made, and some of them dislike her for all kinds of reasons, right? It is not a uniform group of people who all believe the same things and dislike her for the same reasons. It's a whole bunch of different reasons, and not all of the reasons are probably as justifiable as others, right? Now, there are justifiable reasons to feel uncomfortable about some of the things that Beth has done, but I'm sure there are also people out there that are just like, and I saw some of this early on in the season. They just didn't like that she was with two men at the same time, and thought that she was, a certain kind of woman because of that. And that's certainly not a very justifiable reasons to dislike Beth, right?
We will not shame women on this podcast. Exactly.
So at the end of the day, like there's always, when it comes to, reasons to not like somebody, there's always going to be a whole host of them. And sometimes you'll find that they're justified, and sometimes you'll find that maybe they're not. But in this one, there are a lot of people who have come together with a common cause, it seems.
Well, apparently Jed's mom was on live with LaToya, so I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yes.
See what was said.
Jed's mom is not a fan. Yeah,
and he strikes me as the type of guy who really values his mom's opinion. So that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was a massive Beth segment. Let's talk about Brayden. Because Brayden's a bit of a difficult one here as well. I don't think that he is out of this game. And man, I feel like Kiefer staying is worse for Brayden, because I think that there is a decent chance that Kiefer does put Brayden on the block next week. I think that it makes it harder for Brayden to win next week. I think it makes it like it now becomes 3 versus 2, whereas before it was at least only 2 other people that would put Brayden on the block. Now there's potentially 3. It also removes the threat of a duo. Why would you get rid of Brayden when you can break up a pair in Tina and Tara? And they would have to go through this whole thing with Kiefer again if they wanted to make the move on him. So I do feel like this has worsened Brayden's position in the game. I'm also still just very confused about where his head is at in regards to the game. He still seems to feel like he is going to be targeted by Tara, and I don't know why. He seems to feel like he's in good with the trio, and he shouldn't. I just don't know. And so, I don't know. Let me tell you, I was at a 5 for Brayden. If Kiefer stays, I feel like that's very generous. I feel like it should be a 4, but I don't know that Kiefer's going to stay. So I'm kind of torn right now. And when it comes down to it, I just feel like I haven't gotten anything from Brayden. And so I think I'll go with the 5 just because I don't know for sure that the Kiefer thing is going to stick 100%. But man, does it feel generous? I've got to say.
I feel the same. I'm waffling between a 4 and a 5 right now for Brayden, because I feel like I had a lot of faith in his game last week when I felt like he was getting in with the trio and when he was like solidifying a place with them. But now that this week comes and they're just annoyed with him and they don't like him and don't want to work with him, and he's not even really working with them. He's just kind of like hanging out with them, and he's not like trying to ingratiate himself with any of them. Like I thought for sure, like he saw Beth as like his in, and he was gonna like be like, look, like Beth, you can't win if you make it to the end with those guys. I want to go with you to the end. Like we need each other, you know, that sort of thing. I thought that was going to be his path forward. And I don't really see that. And if anything, Beth's just thinking of him as a floater and doesn't trust him. And that's not good. And now that Kiefer is going to stay, if Kiefer stays, you know, Kiefer is telling the cameras and telling Jed and all them, and even telling Tara that he's going to put up Tara and Brayden if he stays. So like, I don't know if that's true. It could just be something he's saying so that the trio will keep him. And I hope that's the case, but like, it's totally possible that next week Brayden goes up and that's it for him. Like, and I think part of the problem is we're not hearing Brayden's strategy talk. So it's not like I can like land on anything like, well, at least Brayden is saying this to us and we know the true feelings of Brayden. Like we don't even know. So that's what concerns me about him. That's why I'm going back and forth. And I think I have to agree with Taran that like, we don't know if Kiefer's going to stay. And if Kiefer doesn't stay, he's in a better spot. He's not in a great spot, but he's in a better spot.
Yeah.
So I think I just have to five across the board.
I know. I'm looking at my Beth rating though, and I'm this is such a mess because I'm doing this on the fly. But like, I feel like Beth has way more win equity than Brayden does at this point. So I feel weird about giving Brayden a 5 when Beth is a 5. And I looked at the audience rating and they gave him a 4, and that was before the Kiefer thing.
Shoot. God, do I change my rating to a 4? I was going back and forth. Wait, so I was going back and forth with Brayden, and then Taran convinces me 5. And now Taran's like, actually, I'm going back because the audience has convinced me otherwise.
Oh, man.
Maybe I give him a 4. Wait. Okay, so audience gives him a 4. Aysha, what do you give him?
So I am higher on Brayden than Beth at the moment because Brayden stayed off the block in this situation where the person of the trio that he is the least closest with, whether, you know, Beth says, you know, Brayden gets on her nerves or whatever, they still had a relationship. And he managed to stay off the block with Jed as the HOH. And he has been in a position to get information, whether they have stopped at a certain point, but he's still able to get some information. I mean, Beth still talks to him from time to time. And I think that he's been in a good position. You would think after Austin left, he would have been just the easy person to go, but he has managed to just continue to be the lovable Brayden that he is. So I'm not waffling. I am a 5. So I'm not going to move down to a 4. I am a 5.
I don't know. I don't know. I just feel like I feel like I was hoping for more from him, and I was seeing it last week. And I feel like even though he's not a target this, I guess I do have to give to him that he's not on the block this week. Mm-hmm. So like anything could happen next week. He's not going home right now. Like, and so to his credit, like he's not going home right now.
I'm gonna drop him to a 4. That's me.
Oh.
I personally can't give him that same rating. I gotta go to a 4.
All right, well then I'll stick with my 5.
All right, there we go. That's it. We're done. No more.
We're done with Brayden.
That's it.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Man.
Moving on
they are
to
the same.
Moving on to Jed.
The chat's like going nuts. Please.
The chat's like, he deserves a 7. No, he deserves a 3.
Yeah,
like this is where we're at right now.
Yeah, I can't even rely on the chat at this point. Usually the chat's like pretty standard, similar ratings. And right now they're all over the place. Oh, okay.
Oh, man.
All right.
Yeah, this is what's happened. The triangle has infected our minds with waffles.
We are our own triangle, right?
All right, here's one I feel more confident in personally. I was going to give Jed a 7. I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to give him a 6. I feel like he is still, even with the Kiefer move, still in a pretty good place. I do think that this Kiefer move is a big potential setback. If this really ruins his jury chances, then it could be a bigger setback. But for right now, I feel like he is. Oh, man, everything that I wrote is useless if they keeps Kiefer. I had so much here. Look, just win competitions, Jed. Just win competitions, you'll win this game. That's why he's a 6.
Yeah.
Aysha, what do you think?
Well, I was just gonna say that like my rating actually for Jed is gonna go up, and that's because my rating for him was so low. Jed, Ty, and Roe were at 4s last week because of the double. Yep. I thought they all had a total chance to go home in the double. And now that he's survived the double and his HOH surviving this week, I do feel like I have to bump him up. So I'm going to give him a 5, even though this Kiefer move, I think if he were to get rid of Kiefer, I would have brought him up to a 6, maybe a 7, because at that point he honestly was like in the lead to win. Now that he's possibly going to like keep Kiefer, and I just feel like this is not a great move if he keeps Kiefer. So I'm just going to give him a 5.
Yeah. And let me just say that even if Jed is our front runner right now, it is not because of his strategy. It is entirely because he's a social guy and he can win comps. This guy would listen to a telephone poll if it told him to evict whoever, right? Like he changes his mind after every conversation.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm so back and forth between 2 numbers, only because he does get credit for making it through the triple. I mean, but I think the entire trio should get credit for making it through the triple and not hitting the block at all. I feel like they got so lucky that Kiefer won. I think if anybody else had won, at least one of them could have been up on the block, if not all 3, with the veto being used or whatever. And I'm just so torn because even though he wins HOH, I would have been higher on him had he not decided that we should keep Kiefer. Like, no, what's done is done. He is up. You have betrayed him. You can't you pour out water and then try to scrape it off the concrete back into the cup. Like, that's literally what he's trying to do. The damage is done. So because of that, I do have to give him a 4.
Ooh, all right. Well, I can tell you that the audience is up at a 6 with me. But who knows where that would have gone, had he decided to keep Kiefer earlier. So I don't know. Let's move on to Kiefer. Let's talk.
Oh my God, we have 5s across the board so far, like we said. Oh my God. Oh gosh, this is such a weird stock watch week. Okay.
Oh man. All right, let's talk about Melissa. Start us off here with Kiefer.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, obviously I was going to go way lower on Kiefer because he was going home. Now he might stay, but I don't feel so great about him still because I guess this could also change depending on if he's telling the truth or not about like, oh, I'm going to stick with the trio. Like if he actually is legitimately planning on sticking with the trio after they've tried to send him home and almost did, like after they've backdoored him essentially, then I don't think he's playing the right game. I don't think he's doing it right. However, like coming into this week, I thought that he was in such a good position to win. So like I'm feeling weird about Kiefer because I was ready to give him a very low score considering he was walking out the door. Now that he's not, I'm honestly going between a 3 and a 4. Just because I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I think if he stays, he has a very good chance of winning this game. I think he might make the wrong move moving into next week if he like wins HOH and has to put 2 people on the block. But I think that he has good chances of winning. Like he's good at these competitions. So if he can make it through this week, I think he has a really great chance at winning, especially if he gets to the end. I think that the jury is going to really respect this. I think they're going to be like, wow, you were doing so great this entire time. They already are like ranking him number 1 as on their list. And then to be like, yeah, I got backdoored and I got out of it. That's very, very rare. So I'm going to give him a 4 just because I don't know whether he's staying.
All right. I'm going to give him a 3. It's interesting because I thought about the 1 for Keith because I felt like he put himself here and there should be no chance he stays. But then I was like, nope. Can't give him a 1 with the trio in charge. So I was going to go with a 2 because I felt like there was an off chance that if he stopped just lying down and dying, he could stay. And lo and behold, before I even can give him the rating, there we go. So it's going to be a 3 for me. If he stays, the problem is, even though I do think he is still a dark horse to win this thing, he is still in a position where if he wins next week and he does stay true to the trio, he's putting himself in a spot where he has to win veto at Final 5, has to win HOH or veto at Final 4, and has to win the Final 3 HOH. That's a lot of winning out. And Kiefer's good at comps, but I don't know if he's that good at comps. All it takes is one good physical competition, and those guys are going to cream him. So that's something to be concerned about. Even if he doesn't make a bad decision, maybe he doesn't win next week and survives, and then he still has to win out. Or it might be in a position where he has to win out. His best case scenario is if Tara or Brayden win the HOH, take a shot at the trio for him, and then he maybe has a little bit more room to play. But I still don't see anyone taking him to the end after he survives this week. They will all look at him as, I think, the biggest jury threat left in the game. And so he will need to win his way there. And while I do think that's possible, it's still a tough road. Plus the fact that he could very, very well end up evicted this week. So it's going to be a 3 for me. Aysha, what do you think?
Yeah, so all valid points. Kiefer, I mean, he was talking about self-evicting earlier. He is in a very, I mean, there's a clear path to send him home this week. Even if he survives this week, I could see the trio being like, okay, we didn't send him home, but we can send him home next week if one of them win. Or they see him as, if they didn't see him as expendable before, they definitely see him as expendable now. They're like, okay, we can get him up on the block. We can send him home. I just think that there's no way that anybody is going to want to take him or like in a situation where he gets pulled to the final 2 there. I don't think that that's going to happen in any scenario at this point, especially with how Brayden is positioned with the trio and how, Tara, their fight, who's to say, Tara's not secretly holding on to that no matter where their relationship is right now. She's going to think back to this unnecessary argument they had during the competition. So I say all that to say that I'm giving Kiefer a 3, and that's based on him staying or going this week.
There you go. Can I just say, I wrote a whole thing about Kiefer's game and all season. I gave him a eulogy. It was great. It was beautiful. It would have made everyone cry, but now I can't use it. All right. Next up, the audience. The audience gave Kiefer a 3 this week. There you go. So next up is Tara. Aysha, how do you feel about Tara?
So Tara is an interesting one because, I feel how she feels. No matter what she does, she's not winning. So I think even in a situation where she happens to be in a final 2 with Brayden, I think that it could very well be Brayden who takes the win. So in that situation, it's like, okay, well then do I look at, okay, her position in the game in terms of making it to the end and winning, or just her not being evicted? And she would be so easy to keep along at this point. At some point, if they get out Tina, it's going to be even easier to justify bringing Tara because people know they're going to beat her. And so it's not like it's not like she's done anything to put herself in this position, but she kind of has, in terms of not having this spectacular social game. So it's so tough with Tara, but you do have to think about, is she playing a good game? Is she expendable? So it's tough. She did win the veto this week. So that's kind of what, good job, or else you would have been going home. So I will have to give her, because she could easily make it to the end. This is so hard. It's weird. I can't give her the same as Beth and Jed. That would be crazy. So I have to give her a 3.
Yeah. I actually, man, I was at a 5 for Tara earlier today. Because here's the thing, winning a veto to save your own life in the game, whether or not she actually would have gone home, right? It's still, she was on the block. She was ostensibly the target. She wins a veto, saves her own life. That gives you a lot of credit in the game and out of the game. I've always said about Tara, I don't think she can win, but I was never going to go too low on her because there was always a chance that she was going to go on some kind of end game comp run, right? And she started it here with a veto, and she started to do some work as well. She worked her way in with Beth. She worked her way in with Jed. And up until that conversation, and this is not to do with Kiefer staying so much as the conversation between Beth and Jed, where Beth was really convinced that she had Tara. And Jed really worked hard to be like, no, you do not have Tara. She is tricking you. She is playing this game. And I think that's not great for Tara. It was looking like Beth was going to try and bring Tara to the Final Four. That's looking a lot less likely. First of all, if Kiefer stays, because it's her and Brayden up on the block, and who knows what happens from there. And then even if Kiefer doesn't stay and Tina's still in the game, I don't know, again, that she would stay over Tina anymore. It was looking like she might, but at this point in the game, it's looking like perhaps not. So I felt like I was going to be generous and go with a 5, but I'm going to go down to a 4 for Tara. I think she still would need to pull out some miracle comp wins toward the end if she wants any chance of winning this game, and that probably includes winning the next HOH. Which is, at the end of the day, it's going to be luck as to whether or not it's something she can win. So it's a 4 for me for Tara. Melissa, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm actually a 4 for Tara as well. And for those of you who are going to say, what? Kiefer is probably going home and Tara's not, and you're giving Kiefer and Tara the same score. Well, yes, because I actually see Kiefer winning if he stays versus I don't know if I see Tara winning even though she's staying. So like, I think that she has a harder road to win versus Kiefer if he stays. So because now there's like the idea that Kiefer might stay, I think that does put them on a somewhat equal playing field right now. I think, yeah, like Taran said, I think it's great that she won the veto. I think she can absolutely use that. I mean, prior to this, she really couldn't like argue anything when it came to like what she's done in the game. So I do think this is very good for her. And yeah, got to give her a 4.
All right. The audience is at a 4 with Tara as well. So there you go. Let's talk about Tina. Let's start with Melissa. How do you feel about Tina?
Yeah, I don't feel great about Tina. The fact that number 1, she's on the block and might go home. And number 2, I don't know if I see her winning at this point. She hasn't really done anything. I feel like she was in such a good position for so long. But it was like, she didn't really need to do anything, but now we're kind of getting towards the end and like, you got to do something. So this is not great. And not only that, she might even go home this week. So, yeah, I do not feel great about her. So I've got to go down with my Tina score and give her a 4.
Aysha, what do you think?
Yeah, it sucks because if she stays, I still think she's in a good position because the trio would still have their sights set on Tara, I would think. In a situation where they put up Tara, Tina, or if they put up Brayden, they're going to try to get out Brayden. And so that's why I'm really torn. I would like to start seeing her be way more active than she has been, and not just because she's on the block, but because we are in the final 3 weeks of the game and you need to start doing something. You can't hang on to the fact that, hey, I was the leader of the Sunsetters in the first couple of weeks. So I think, oh my gosh, this is tough because yeah, what is her win equity? Yeah. And I can't see her winning. I mean, I could see her winning against Tara, but I couldn't see that, that's if Kiefer leaves. But against the trio, like if Tina is against the trio, I don't know because, Kiefer was preaching, hey, I'm going to make sure an oddball wins. So I am going to give her, I'll agree, I'll give her a 4.
Right. Yeah, I was gonna give Tina a 4 prior to the fact that she might leave. I think that I've been so hot and cold with Tina this season. I loved her first week; she was very active, and then she just went so cold, so quiet for so long, and I was like the lowest person on her for so long. And then last week she turned it on. She got Vic backdoored. She put herself in a great spot, and I do respect her game. I really do, because I think that she comes in. I think this is something that you need to put into perspective when it comes to Tina, is that she comes in the oldest person in the house. That's such a huge disadvantage to have coming into the game. She has been unable to win any of the competitions. Now, these have been some of the more fair competitions that we've seen, but even so, she's having trouble beating people who are just going to be a little bit faster than her at these things. And that is a huge hurdle to have to jump. And I think she has done an admirable job of putting herself in a position where she is safe, and in a position where if she just gets lucky once or twice with a comp outcome, she can really take advantage and go pretty far. But that has not been the case. She has not gotten lucky with those comp outcomes, and she has found herself in a position where it's really starting to become difficult to see how she wins this game. And I think that she is still playing too passively right now. She doesn't see the danger in front of her. I think she needs to. And even if she wasn't potentially leaving this week, I think she still needs to look ahead and see the danger in front of her, because she can't just rely on the sunsetter thing to get to the 5 or the 4. And even if she did get to the 4, she'd have to beat all 3 of Beth, Jed, Ty once at least at the final 4, and then again at the final 3. They've made the competitions a little more equitable, but the final 3 competitions generally have a physical component to both parts 1 and 2. And that's going to be tricky to get to part 3, where she still only has a shot against people who have been studying more than her. So if she can't win those competitions, she cannot win this game. I think that even if she gets taken to the end by somebody betraying the trio, that's just going to give that person credit for betraying the trio, and they're going to win this game. And so Tina is really starting to look like she's in a position where she can't win this game. She needed the oddballs to get some kind of foothold. That was her only shot, and it's the space to do that has just dried up dramatically. Her only real chance to win, either winning out, like I said, or if her, Tara, or Brayden win the HOH next week, take out one of the trio, then they do it again, and then they do it again. And then she has a chance to win. But even now, as you guys have pointed out, Tara has now won more competitions than her and has been a little bit more active in the campaigning than her. And I could see a potential situation where Tara, with more comp wins, ends up getting more credit between the two of them. And she doesn't even have a guaranteed beat against Tara at this point, certainly not against Brayden. So it's really looking rough for Tina, even more rough than Kiefer, should she stay versus him staying. And so I'm actually also going to give Tina a 3 this week, because she could also leave. That would be bad.
Yeah. No, I think you're totally right. And especially about the Tina versus Tara thing. Like, I do think that, like, because Tara's kind of had to like fight for her life a few times here now, I think she'll be viewed as like the scrappy, like, you know, the person who went and fought for herself, and she's a scrappy player and she clawed from the bottom. She's the underdog. Whereas Tina, it's like, well, she's been pretty comfortable and safe for most of the time. And then when she reveals like, oh yeah, I've also been in this alliance, it's like, oh, okay, so you were safe the whole time, and like, you didn't really have to worry. And Tara, on the other hand, was alone and she really had to fight. And so I do think, even if it's Tina versus Tara, like, Tara has an advantage there. And then I think this Tina thing is like just a classic case of like, we're seeing her play it so right in the beginning, where you are supposed to sit back and you are supposed to find yourself in a good alliance. You're supposed to just kind of be safe and ride that out. But then you are supposed to turn it on like halfway through the game, or a little like 3/4 way through the game. And she hasn't turned it on at all. And we're like 3/4 of the game now. So it's like, you can't just never turn it on. Like, you can't just coast the whole game. You have to then flip that switch and be like, okay, now I'm a player. And I haven't seen that really at all from her, which is so disappointing, because I really thought that it was like just like her strategy to just like play it safe in the beginning, just like not, just kind of ride it out and then kick into gear. And she just lost it.
And honestly, like Tina will probably go down as a forgotten player here, somebody who had potential. There are a lot of those. I mean, Johnny certainly wasn't forgotten, but mostly because of his excellent survival play that he made. That unfortunately wasn't on the show. But Johnny actually had a similar problem with Dela, where Johnny was constantly setting up pieces, constantly setting the entire house against Dela, and all he needed was for one of those people to win, and they never did. And then one by one, he lost all of his pieces until it was just him, and he's fought to survive. He barely managed to, and then finally got taken out in the triple. This is just what happens when you don't win. That the unfortunate reality of Big Brother is that sometimes you just have to win. And Dr. Will experienced that. Dan experienced that. It's just the case sometimes. So, all right. The audience is feeling a little bit better about Tina than us, although they were not really aware that she might go home this week when they did these ratings. They gave Tina a 5, which I think is fair given where they saw her before. All right. Finally, let's talk about Ty. I completely forgot who I started with last time, so I'll just start with
Melissa.
Aysha. Let's go.
So with Ty, he is in this trio, but he is starting, a few weeks ago, or a couple weeks ago, we were thinking that he was in a great position and that he was the one that was most likely to win of the three. But now you have Jed, who has, he has an HOH now. He has 1 or 2 vetoes.
Ty?
And all right, no, Jed
has 1 veto, 1 HOH.
1 8. Okay. And, Ty with the forgotten veto. And, he's putting himself in a position where now Jed and Beth are in love. And it's like, that's your ticket to the final 3. And you are in a position where neither one, just from, their perspective in the house, it may look like they would take each other and not take you, Ty. But he has made such great social relationships in the house. But I think that I don't think that his opinion is valued in this trio. I don't think that he can make a decision and get Jed and Beth on board if it wasn't in their best interest. So I don't think he would decide like, oh no, we need to keep Braden until final 4 and then they be on board. So, I think he is at the bottom of the totem pole of the trio. And given that, I could see a situation where if they are in danger, he could be the one that they decide, look, we can do without Ty. So but then also he's never been nominated. So he is still in a good position in that he's never been nominated. And the fact that Jed and Beth now have wins under their belt, they may be seen as bigger threats. And so they could be the ones that people put up and they think, oh no, Ty is not a threat. So I'm talking myself in circles, trying to figure out what would be most appropriate, because it's like, okay, is he in the best position in the house? Am I higher on him than the other 2 in the trio and everyone else in the house? I guess with the point of if the trio is in danger, even though he's the most expendable to them, the other house guests may not see him as big as a threat. So because of that, I will give him a 5.
All right, Melissa.
Yeah. No, I agree with everything that you were saying. And I do think that Ty's in a weird spot. I do think that the Kiefer staying thing to me, for whatever reason, I feel like it's worse for Jed than it is for Ty to have Kiefer stay. Maybe that's not the case. That's just like the gut feeling I have. But I do think that Ty is in a precarious position. I don't think he's in like a better position than Jed, because I do think that like he's kind of on the outs, and I do think he could be an easy pick off if it came to, okay, we have to choose between Jed and Ty. What do we do? I could see that happening. So I don't know. We have to see what happens. But at this point, I'm keeping Ty at a 5.
Yeah, it's again, it's tough, and I want to read it because I'm already anticipating comments. What idiots. I can't believe they rated on a potential flip that wasn't even in place yet. They're so stupid. They ruined my stocks. And I hear you. So I don't want to do this. Because I don't know what anything will mean right now. But
yeah, they're gonna call us idiots, and maybe they're not wrong.
Hey, so, maybe you're right. I don't know.
Okay, well, I'll live with it.
here's the thing. I think that Kiefer leaving was bad for Ty because at the time Kiefer had been talking about Ty being the person he was closer to. However, as soon as the move happened, Kiefer blamed Ty more than Jed and reverted to, hey, Jed was my day one. And now he's like, I want to go against Jed in the end. I'm not going to go with Ty. Ty is not loyal, unlike Jed. And so now it's like, well, now that Kiefer's staying, that's also worse for Ty? Like, wait a minute. How is this fair to Ty? And also all the stuff that Kiefer has been saying about Ty, I think that ultimately Kiefer staying is better for Ty. And that's because I was really, really worried about Ty's jury potential if Kiefer goes to the jury as Danny talking about Nicole, right? Saying this guy had nothing to do with anything. Don't vote for him. He doesn't know what he's talking about. If that is not going to happen, I think that's good for Ty. But it's got to happen eventually because he certainly can't sit next to Kiefer. And I still just don't know what his path to the end is. But with jury stuff just up in the air too much for me. I can't give too much of an advantage to Jed, given that Jed has backtracked on this Kiefer move, and I don't know what impact that will have. And I think that evens them out a little bit more for me. So I'm also going to give Ty a 6. I still think that Jed is probably going to edge him out in terms of win equity right now. But I just think I'm just too unsure about the jury situation and about where all of this will go right now. There's still a chance that Kiefer turns around and stabs them in the back, or that Tara or Tina, if they stay, or if she stays, or Braden takes a shot at Jed and Beth, and then Ty might be able to land somewhere in a better place, and who knows? It's still too much. It's still too early to tell for me to give a too significant an advantage when I thought that I was going to be able to, but right now I just can't. So it's a 6 for me for Ty. The audience, though, is with you guys at a 5. That's where the audience is with Ty. So what a result here. It's 5-5-5, 3-4-4, 5.
Yeah. Wow. So everybody dropped except for Tara?
Except for Tara.
Oh, wow. Tara was the bye.
Right. It's that
Can't
veto
believe
win.
it.
It's the veto win. That's really not, honestly, even with the Kiefer stuff, it's still not where I expected it to go. But
yeah.
But here we go. This is just a function of the season here. I think that this is where we're at here. If anyone that took a risk on the double eviction did not get a payout for it.
No.
So here we are. Let me see if we have an updated leaderboard here.
By the way, don't even look at mine because I can't even blame the audience this week. This was all me. They reminded me and I went, thank you for the reminder. I forgot. And then I went in and did not go on my computer and fix it.
Melissa, you said don't even look at yours, but
yeah,
you are no longer the worst Melissa.
What? How did that happen? All right, who's below me?
Somebody lost worse than you. Melissa
Who
Elliott.
is it? Melissa Elliott, thank you.
Melissa
Thank
Elliott.
you. Wow.
I don't know. I don't know what she did because she must have gone in on either Roe or Victoria.
It's a miracle. Because I just held and on my stuff, not held take my money back. I forgot to do anything. So I just kept people. Luckily, I didn't have anything on Vic or Roe, I don't think. So at least they didn't leave, but they did not do so well. I think I had Kiefer stuff. I don't know. I don't even know what I did. Oh, so embarrassing.
All right. Aysha, where are you here?
Not doing well.
Oh, Tina.
Yeah.
Are you
Yeah.
lower than me? No, you're not.
No.
Don't even say not doing well.
Oh, am I not?
No, of course
top
you're not. Are you
50%
for real?
Aysha.
Oh, please. Oh, am I not? Oh, Melissa, you were like, what, 2000?
Melissa's in the top 100% still, so you've got that going for you.
This has been a bad time for me. Not only did I lose the draft like right away, I immediately just tanked my stocks, and I'm just like, I can't lift myself out of it, and I don't even know.
I sold everything and I held this week. That was a good call for me here.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to stay tied for first place with
God.
Muse, who I believe also held here.
See, that I don't even think that should be an option. You shouldn't be able to just like take your money back. It should be like, no, we have to invest in someone. You can't just give up on all the players. Ridiculous. I had faith in my players that I kept them for 3 weeks in a row. That's faith.
Looks like I think Snakes probably had the biggest jump this week going in on Terra.
Wow.
Yeah, good call.
See, I would not have even thought to go all in on Terra. There's no way I would have been like, okay, Terra's the win. Like Terra's the move. Like I would not. And now look at it. Wow. That's crazy.
Oh man. So yeah, there we are. That is the leaderboard here for the Stock Watch.
Man.
It's I honestly I can't even feel like I can take credit because I feel like I keep doing well despite myself. Like, all of my ratings would have like been disadvantageous to me most of the time.
So what was your logic for taking your money back? Like before you knew about any of this like crazy ratings, like it was before the double eviction, and you were like, so I think everyone's gonna. I don't know who's gonna leave, so I want to like hold or what.
I was on Twitch. I said the thing about the double eviction is that first of all, if you go in on somebody and they go home, it's not you lose half of your money because they're on their way out the door. It's you lose everything. So with so many people as potential people that could go home, there were only a few options that might not go home. There's no way I'm taking a risk on somebody that could go home in the double, especially when I'm in first place. So then you have to look at, okay, they might survive the double, but where are they after the double? But not only where are they after the double, where are they after the double followed by the next HOH and the next set of nominations and the next veto and who they plan on taking out. So it's 2 full weeks ahead, and so much could change at that point that I was just like, it's just not worth it. I'm willing to take the hit.
Do that for double evictions, or is that like because of this cast?
I think I've held on every double eviction that we've had.
Interesting. I'm learning. If I could only remember to actually go on the website and change things, I would be winning. Now that I know the strategy, it really is, honestly. Now that I know Taran's strategy.
If only I said what my strategy was every week on Twitch.
Yeah, that would be nice. Although I would still forget to go on the site. I'd be like, okay, now I know the move. Okay, and then I would leave it and have nothing every week.
All right, let's go through some of these extra questions here. I asked the audience how would they rate the episodes of Big Brother this week. That got a 6.6 rating, up from the 5.6 last week. This has been up and down all season. I feel like it was a 6.3 the week before last. And then it was a 6.6 the week before that. And then I think it was like a 7. Yeah, it was a 7 the week before that. So it's kind of been going up and down here throughout the course of the season, but definitely the episodes last week were the worst of the season thus far. I also asked, how did you rate the feeds this week? And they got a 6.5 in comparison to last week's 7.4. The week before that was a 4.7, and then a 6.5, and then an 8.5. So that's really been all over the place. But I wonder if people would have rated the feeds a little higher had they known about this Kiefer stuff. Because it has been pretty quiet up until this point. We did have the big Kiefer revelation, but now we have the Kiefer campaign, and that has made things even more interesting. And then finally, how would you rate the season as a whole so far? A 7.2, down from the 7.3 last week. So it seems like that's where it's kind of hovering around here, just above about the 7.2 range, which I think is pretty fair overall. Yeah, it's been a fun season. It's not necessarily been like the best season ever, but it's been fun.
Right. I think it's much better than last season, I will say. Last Big Brother, like Big Brother, the US Big Brother. That was certainly a slog, but this one is much better. I mean, yeah, it's not Big Brother Canada 6, I will say, but you know, it is interesting, and I do feel like it changes week to week, so I don't feel like it's just been like, oh, okay, we already know the outcome. So you know, yeah, I think it's been pretty good. Not thrilling, but good.
Yeah, like I've been enjoying it. Like I know it's a good season when I still want to be on top of watching the episodes, like maybe not that night, but the next day, because I want to see if there were like any DRs that provided some more insight, or just how it was framed. What did we see when the feeds were off, since the feeds are off so often? So I've thoroughly enjoyed this season. Yeah, especially on the heels of BB22.
Yeah. All right. Some more questions here. Rank the players from your favorite to your least favorite. Melissa, who has taken the top spot this week?
Ooh. Ty?
Aysha?
Brayden.
Ty has retaken his lead.
Wow.
And Melissa has retaken her crown.
But who's number 2?
Oh, God.
Oh,
Brayden.
Aysha?
I'll say Brayden.
You're both wrong.
No.
By a hair.
Oh.
By a hair, Tina has overtaken Brayden.
What?
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I was not expecting that, and I don't think I would have gotten that right on second guess.
Yeah.
I probably would have said Jed.
All right. Well, Jed was 4th. And then we have the bottom 3. I already told you that Beth is not on the bottom. She is under Jed, actually, which fair. And then the bottom 2.
Oh, Taran.
The bottom 2. Who is at the very bottom of the list here, Melissa?
I think Tara.
Yeah, I think Tara.
You are both incorrect. It is
Kiefer?
Kiefer
Really?
has taken the bottom spot from Tara.
Why? I mean, not that I necessarily
Tara has
am,
that
like,
underdog thing going for her now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I think also the episodes are helping her. I think they're like really like, you know, making her out to be that like scrappy underdog. Whereas like, you know, I don't know if I'm necessarily seeing that when I get the feeds, but like, I do think on the episodes, it's like, you know, you've got the scenes where she's like talking about her family, or like talking about like how I have to do this and then like not doing it, or like I have to do this and then doing it, you know, like it's like, I do think that like they are really hyping her up on the episodes, or at least that's the impression I'm getting.
Yeah. And I guess Kiefer's overconfidence is rubbing people the wrong way. So maybe that's why he's least favorite.
Just call me the Grim Kiefer, 'cause
So I asked who was the best person for Kiefer to have targeted during the double eviction for his game. The audience said pretty overwhelmingly, 55% of the vote, he should have targeted Jed.
Yeah. I would have said the same.
Jed.
Same. Yeah.
That would have been a huge move. And I feel like it's like, that would have been like, I mean, I feel like as sucky as it is, like getting someone out at getting a huge player out in a double is kind of the move, because it's like nobody has time to think. They don't have time to campaign. You kind of are just like, look, we just have to get this person out. Let's just do it. I think he should have done that. I think he should have put Ty and Jed on the block. And I think that he just should have gotten one of them out, like, you know, whoever it may be. They're both strong players. And because I think like, and the reason why I'm not saying Beth is I think Beth would have been an easy person for people to be like, yeah, let's just get Beth out. So I don't know. Yeah.
20% said Beth. She was in second place. Only about 12% agreed with the move to take out Roe. About 8% said Brayden. And I actually do think that Brayden would have been a better move than Roe if he could have managed it. But
what was Ty?
Ty was below Brayden at about 3%. They did not think he should have taken Ty out. All right. Who is the best person for Jed to target for his game? I asked the audience. And the audience overwhelmingly agrees with the move to take Kiefer out of the game. 60% say that Kiefer is the right target for Jed. So I can only imagine what this new information would have done to Jed's rating had they known about it.
Yeah, not good.
But here's the thing too, right? 60% says Kiefer was the right target. That's not even including the fact that Kiefer's already on the block. It's also worth noting that in second place is Brayden with 15%. In third place is Tara with 13%. Only 6% of the audience thinks that Jed should take Tina out on his HOH.
And he shouldn't. Yeah, no, it doesn't make any sense. Oh, man. Well, okay, like, what do you guys think? Like, right now, if you have to pick, do you think Kiefer's going this week or staying this week?
I think he's going.
I think he's going, if I have to say.
Yeah, if I'm forced.
If I had to say, I would also say he's going, but only because I've seen so little, and I haven't actually even seen the conversation myself. But I do think that there is a very good chance that he stays. I think that I would be torn, and that's because I think that there's just a lot of like they kept saying it over and over. This is not like Vic. This is a different situation than Vic. And I do think there's a good chance he stays, but if I had to say right now, I would say he's going.
Yeah, I think he's going because it just like passes precedent, you know, and I've seen them multiple times say they're going to flip the vote and then go back and be like, we're not going to do this. So I do think that they're going to end up flipping it back. Like, no, we just can't do it. We just can't do it. And I really think that that's the way it's going to go, but you never know.
Yeah.
All right. So finally, two more questions. I asked, who do you want to be evicted this week? 76% of the audience wants Kiefer evicted this week. I don't know if that means that they're very disappointed right now in the possibility that he might stay, or if they're like, oh, maybe I've changed my mind. This is exciting. I'm going to guess, given how unpopular he is, that most people are disappointed.
Yes.
Yeah. Like I was excited. Like when I saw that Jed was HOH, I was like, okay, it's, going to be Brayden, Tina, or Tara. Then when it comes back, like when the feeds came back and I see them talking about Kiefer, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is a possibility. Like that's exciting. This going back and saying that Kiefer is that's not exciting.
No.
Like saying he's going to stay, like, okay, come on. I thought you were making a big move. Now you're not. I know Kiefer is saying you're making a big move by keeping him, but no, you're not. So it's like, it's too much. The first putting him on the block, that was the good move. And sending him home, that's the good move. But this flipping back and forth, I'm not entertained by that.
Yeah, I was actually streaming when the feeds came back and they started talking about Kiefer. I was like, oh,
there you go. This is happening. That's so crazy.
Because it was like, oh, it sounds like Tara won. I guess Brayden is. Wait, they're not talking about Brayden. All right. Finally, I asked, who do you want to win the HOH next week? And this all season long has been dominated by Ro. Every single week, Ro has been the person that people have wanted to see as HOH, but Ro is no longer here. He went out the dodo, and it is time for a new person to be at the top of the who do you want to win HOH leaderboard, and that person is
Brayden.
Tara.
Whoa.
Tara with 40% of the vote. Tina with 23% of the vote. Brayden in third with only 20% because who knows what he's going to do.
We don't know what it would be like if we knew what he was going to do, then I would love for Brayden to get HOH. But no, I think he's going to make a dumb move and decide to be loyal to the trio.
Yeah, I guess I would like to see Brayden just because like I would like to see what he would do. But yeah, you're right. The odds are he would probably just be loyal to the trio and that would suck. So yeah, Tara, that's fine. Let's put Tara as HOH.
Yeah. Kiefer only at 3%. I think most people were assuming he was going to be gone, but honestly, I don't think this percentage would change, even if he does stay, because they don't want him to stay loyal to the trio. However, if he turned his back on the trio, I think a lot of people would like to see it.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine a DR where Kiefer is down and out. He can't believe he's on the block after the veto ceremony. And then he's like, I'm going to go after the trio, but I'm going to convince them to keep me. But we see
I like that Kiefer voice.
Right.
I'm going to go after the trio. I would be down to see that DR.
Oh, the flowers that will grow from my betrayal.
My betrayal. The grim Kiefer. I'd like that. Woo! Yeah, no, that would be great. I think Kiefer would get a lot of fans that way.
Yeah.
All right, so that's what we've got here for the questions, and that's what we've got for the week. I mean, look, we did our best here with the ratings.
We tried, guys. We tried
with the little information that we have. I think the feeds have been down for most of this podcast since we heard from the trio that they do want to keep Kiefer. We'll see if that sticks. It may not. Who knows? But you're just gonna have to tune in tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern when I update on everything that happened today on the Big Brother Canada 9 live feeds. Tomorrow night, we're gonna have a podcast to recap tomorrow night's episode. I should be joined by Hira from last season to talk with us about the episode. So that should be very fun. I thought it was going to be talking through Kiefer's demise, but we may end up talking about Kiefer's resurgence. Well, who knows? So look out for that. And then, of course, Thursday, another update, Stockwatch stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/Taran Armstrong. And we've got the eviction recap as well. So lots of great stuff heading your way there. Tomorrow, The Circle is also going to air, so make sure you tune into the very first episode recap that I'm going to have ready for you guys with Rob, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun stuff. We'll have subsequent recaps for The Circle every subsequent day until Saturday, 1, 2, 3, 4 for those episodes. So make sure you check all of that out. Any final thoughts, guys, on the week of Big Brother? Melissa, any final thoughts here?
Just that I'm as confused as everyone else. I have no idea what's going to happen at the end of this week. So, we'll just have to go with the flow at this point.
All right.
Yeah. If they decide to keep Kiefer on Thursday, I am going to be floored. And the Kiefer, at that point, Kiefer deserves to win HOH, and he would even I would love to see him take a shot at them, but he would be loyal and not do that. So yes, no, I would not like to see Kiefer win HOH because I would like to see Kiefer go this week. So we will see what happens, especially because I fully expect them to go back a couple more times. So whatever I read and whatever I watch, I'm going to take it with a grain of salt until the eviction actually happens.
All right. So that's what we have for you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Aysha, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Aysha like Aysha. So it's AYSHA like ASIA. I am continuing to podcast about Married at First Sight with Amy. We podcast every other week. There are only 3 episodes of the show left, which means we have about a couple podcasts left. This week, it usually is released on Fridays, but this week it will be released on Saturday. So keep a lookout for that. It's been a really interesting season. Definitely worth the watch or worth the listen if you don't want to watch the 2-hour episode, because that's a lot. I mean, when The Bachelor does 2 hours, I'm like, that's a lot, but I still watch. But yeah, you can catch me there, and then of course continue to hop in here and there for Big Brother Canada coverage.
All right.
Did you guys see the announcement of the new show that's coming out, Match Me If You Can?
Yes. Okay. Joey from The Circle is going to be on it, and Natalie Negrotti from Big Brother 18 is going to be on it.
Yes, and there are a couple of people from The Bachelor. There's someone from The Challenge. I'm really excited about this show. There's someone from Too Hot to Handle. Yeah,
I need to check that out.
Yes, it looks so. It's a typical dating show. They're like trying to date each other, but they're all from these variety of shows, whether it's like Netflix or CBS or MTV, and it's going to be on MTV, and I'm so excited. So that's going to be a good show. But yeah, just out of curiosity, it looks so good.
Very exciting.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us this week.
Excuse me, you didn't say my handle.
Oh, I did. Oh, did I not ask you where
You
people
didn't
can
even
find you?
ask
Oh
me.
man,
Oh my God, Taran.
I can't believe.
Did everybody see this?
Melissa, I can't believe you're doubting me right now because obviously I was going to ask you.
That was a sign off.
You're just
that
assuming that I was about to sign off.
Taran
And what I was
sign-off.
really doing was giving it to you right there at the end there.
No, it's
so-
fine, Taran. It's fine. I just know that, like, wow, okay. Like, not only do you not even say my handle anymore, like, we all know that was like your favorite thing to do. All of a sudden, it's not. That's
Yeah,
weird,
all right,
right?
look.
Something's up.
No.
The audacity, Taran. There's something is up with Taran.
You just have no faith in me and my
This is
throwing it to you
shocking.
abilities. I had the ball. I was about to throw it to you, and then you just grabbed it from my hand. You were like, "Why didn't you throw it to me?"
I'm just saying. Everybody saw. The chat saw. The chat
They
knows.
saw. Yeah, they saw you reach down, reach up from below in the video and grab the ball right from my hand. That's what they just saw.
Well,
That was a bad read.
I am taken aback. Okay. But I'll just say, I'll go ahead and do it. I'll continue on. Like, I won't just like stop the podcast for this, but I'm just gonna say, you can find me on all social media channels at It's Melissa with 3 A's. And that's the truth. That's the fact.
Woo!
All right,
Woo.
we did it.
I don't want to make a mountain out of a molehill.
Yeah. All right.
And yet I will.
Okay, well, now that has happened, I will skip the part where I was about to throw it to Melissa and just go
Right,
straight
right.
into thank you guys so
Sure,
much for
sure.
joining us this week. I hope you enjoyed this weird podcast that we just gave you. And we will see all of you next time.